Up to 70% of all shopping carts online are abandoned. In this video, I'll show you how to create an advanced abandoned checkout flow in Klaviyo to bring customers back to finish their orders. I know there's several videos on YouTube on how to create this flow, but usually they only teach you how to set up a basic 3-email sequence using simple templates in Klaviyo. This is not what we're going to be doing in this video. This is an in-depth tutorial on how to recover abandoned checkouts with advanced retention strategies that include a comprehensive email flow and incorporates SMS messages as well. But don't worry, if you're just looking to set up a no-frills, standard abandoned checkout flow, I'll show you how to build a super simple one as well in this video. And for those of you who are looking for a more advanced strategy that recovers a higher percentage of checkouts, make sure you stick around for the second half of this video. I can promise you that there's no other tutorial online or any other email marketing agency putting together flows like these. So today, I'll show you how to build an abandoned checkout flow that doesn't serve just as a reminder to complete a purchase. This flow actually addresses the psychology of why your website visitors abandoned in the first place. Now notice that I keep calling this flow an abandoned checkout, not an abandoned cart flow. This is because there are two separate flows and we will discuss the differences between them later in this video. For now, what I'm about to share applies to both. You see, an abandoned checkout is not just a lost sale. It's a lost opportunity to connect with the customer who was almost convinced to purchase. Why did they leave at the last moment? What made them hesitate? Your email sequence needs to address any customer objections that caused the abandonment. This requires building a sequence of emails that, number one, addresses customer objections such as price, shipping concerns, and questions about product quality. Number two, creates trust through credibility and authority. Number three, establishes urgency to complete the purchase. And number four, follows up at the appropriate times via both email and SMS to encourage the purchase. In this way, you'll be able to build a flow of high converting emails that recovers the maximum number of abandoned carts. Now, as I mentioned, I'll be sharing two different options for building your flow. One is a more basic flow that is quite effective, but is easier to set up. The other is more comprehensive and incorporates both email and SMS messages. My recommendation would be to set up the more advanced flow, even if you're just starting out, so that everything will be in place as your brand grows. Let's get started. Before you start building out the flow, first, you should make sure your Shopify integration in Klaviyo is set. This allows Klaviyo to recognize anytime a cart or checkout is abandoned and fire off the emails in your sequence at the appropriate time. In Klaviyo, select your account name in the lower left, then click Integrations and Add Integration. Search for Shopify and click the card. Follow the subsequent steps to complete your integration. Once you've confirmed Shopify is integrated, make sure you turn off the abandoned checkout sequence in Shopify. You only want your emails coming from Klaviyo, which has much more powerful customization options than what you can put together in Shopify. Once you've done that, it's time to build out your abandoned checkout flow. You can also set up an abandoned cart flow at the same time. Now is a good time to discuss the difference between the two and how to set each one up. An abandoned cart looks like this. A website visitor may or may not reach the checkout page, but will definitely add to cart. And an abandoned checkout looks like this. The difference being that an abandoned checkout moves past the add to cart stage and actually begins the checkout process by filling out shipping information. Remember, you won't have the email address of a new customer who abandons their cart, only their checkout. So an abandoned cart flow would only send emails to existing subscribers on your list whose contact information you already have. Now, if you want to send emails anytime someone abandons, you want to make sure your triggers in Klaviyo are installed correctly for an abandoned cart. Both a checkout started metric and an added to cart metric are automatically included within the native Shopify integration now. Confirm whether you have the added to cart metric by doing the following. Under Analytics in the left-hand navigation menu, click on Metrics, and then search for Added to Cart to see if it's present. If your graph is showing activity like this, that means your Added to Cart metric is firing. You can also do a search for the Checkout Started trigger to confirm it's firing as well. Most likely, if you're just starting to set up your Klaviyo account, these metrics won't be firing. Just make sure you have both the added to cart metric and the checkout started metric so that you can set up your abandoned cart as well as your abandoned checkout flow. Now, remember, most of the instructions I provide in this video for your abandoned checkout flow can be applied to your abandoned cart flow as well. So let's turn to that now. Let's start to build out your abandoned checkout flow. First, start by creating a flow in Klaviyo by clicking Flows on the left-hand side. Click Create Flow. To get a jump start, you can click on Abandoned Cart and use a pre-built template. Note that the trigger for this flow is Abandoned Checkout, not Abandoned Cart, so it's actually not accurately titled. So what we'll do is change the name of this flow right here. If you want to create an abandoned cart flow, you'll want to use the Add to Cart trigger instead. Let's keep moving forward with the abandoned checkout flow. Klaviyo will auto-populate with 2 standard templates for reminder emails with basic subject lines and copy. But first, confirm that the trigger is correct. Klaviyo has added the checkout started trigger, which means that the sequence of emails will only fire off to subscribers who have taken this action on your Shopify website. On Shopify, the checkout started metric fires when someone adds a product to their cart, fills out the information on the first page of the checkout process, and then continues with the process. Now, the next step here is to review your trigger filters and your flow filters. Let's start with the trigger filter. If you select a specific metric to trigger the flow, such as started checkout, by default, everyone who completes this action will qualify to enter your flow. Trigger filters can be used to limit to specific product types. So as an example, you could create multiple abandoned checkout flows built specifically for particular products or product categories. So as an example, if I added a trigger filter here for the Paisley jersey, this abandoned checkout flow would only be sent to those who started checkout for this particular item. And so there are many different variations you can put on the trigger filters, but this is just one example of how to use a trigger filter. In this case, we're going to keep things simple here for a basic abandoned checkout flow and not add any trigger filters so that anyone who abandons their checkout receives this flow. Now, let's move on to the flow filters. You'll see that you already start with some default flow filters. Flow filters allow you to restrict emails being sent to subscribers who meet the criteria of the filter. In the case of the abandoned checkout, you only want to send emails to anyone who hasn't already bought. If they've already placed an order, then they should not receive abandoned checkout emails. So in this case, we already have 2 profile filters. Number 1, placed order 0 times since starting this flow, meaning we will not be sending emails to anyone who places an order after starting this flow. And number 2, has not been in the flow in the last 7 days. This means that subscribers won't repeatedly get the same abandoned checkout emails if they start the checkout process multiple times within a week. If at any point in time a subscriber does not meet this criteria set by the flow filters, the subscribers will stop receiving the flow emails. Now let's move on to the timing. Klaviyo automatically sets up a 4-hour delay before the first email is sent. In my experience, this is too long of a delay, so I prefer 1 hour. Now, for a basic abandoned checkout sequence, what I like to do is eliminate SMS. In the second half of this video, you'll be seeing how to incorporate SMS into your abandoned checkout sequence. In this case, we're just setting up a very basic abandoned checkout flow, and so we're not going to be including SMS. Now we can move on to customizing the standard template. What we're going to do is create the basic flow that I discussed earlier, and then I'll show you how to create the advanced flow. With the basic flow, you want 4 emails that address the psychological factors behind abandoned checkouts. Customer objections, like price, shipping, and product quality, social proof, urgency. So based on those factors, we'll create a 4 email sequence as follows. Number 1, reminder. Number 2, a reminder plus testimonials and FAQs. Number 3, a discount to address price objections. And then number 4, create urgency with a discount expiration reminder. The first email will go out 1 hour after abandonment, while each of the other emails will be sent 1 day after the prior email. Now let's start to customize each abandoned checkout email. Let's click on the first email and click edit. Klaviyo has auto-populated the subject line and the design for you, so we can start by making some adjustments. First, the preview text. We'll just add something very basic here. For example, like complete your purchase. Now let's go in and edit the email design. The key part to note here is that the default dynamic product block from Klaviyo that auto-populates with the products left in the abandoned checkout should be above the fold. What I mean by above the fold is that since most subscribers will be viewing and purchasing on their phones, the abandoned product or products should be visible on the mobile screen without having to scroll down. So let's take a look at mobile view here, and you can see here that we definitely want to make sure that this is above the fold. Many brands like to remove the logo at the top to ensure this, but it's a matter of preference. Just make sure you use the mobile preview as well as the desktop preview to ensure the key elements are visible on mobile. When it comes to the header, you can use some standard text. In this case, Klaviyo has put in, don't let your item slip away. You can also say something like, we've saved your cart for you. You can add some brand voice to this copy, but my advice is to keep things simple and direct. Remember, the only goal of this abandoned checkout email is to drive clicks to the abandoned checkout link so you can drive more purchases and recover more lost revenue. Personalize the email with the following code. When you add this code, you'll be able to address your emails to your subscribers by their first name. The title part of the code will ensure the first name is always capitalized, even if the subscriber doesn't enter it in correctly, which happens often. If the first name isn't available, which is highly unlikely given that's an abandoned checkout, the default is "Hey there." Now let's talk about the dynamic product block. Klaviyo automatically adds this to your abandoned checkout flow if you're not creating it from scratch. There are several customizations you can make to it, such as padding, font styles, but it's a matter of preference. However, there are several tweaks I would make to this block to ensure all links are going to the abandoned checkout link. Now, the first thing to do here is to preview this dynamic product block to make sure all the links are correct. Then make sure anyone with multiple products in their cart is receiving emails with all products displayed in the email as well as in the checkout link. To do this, just simply cycle through the previews for different customers. Now, as we scroll down, we can see that Klaviyo has auto-populated additional sections here. In this case, we can leave the free shipping on $50 orders or more. These blocks are irrelevant. You can also add some categories here, but generally speaking, what I like to do is have all traffic directed to that checkout link. So what I would do is I would just delete these sections here to make sure everything is consistently driving traffic straight to the checkout link. There are several other modifications you can make in terms of formatting here. And in particular, if you have any issues with the dynamic abandoned checkout block, don't hesitate to contact Klaviyo support. A team member will make sure that you receive the assistance you need. There are so many other design customizations you can make to this email, but since that's not the topic of this video, we're going to focus more on the structure of the abandoned checkout flow and how to ensure it converts well. So this, as you can see, is reminder email number 1. The only purpose of this email is to drive the traffic back to the checkout link. It's just a reminder. If customers have objections, we are going to address them in the later emails. Now, to wrap up, there are a few more customization items we can make here. For example, on mobile, we can increase the font size so it looks a little bigger. What we're going to do is make this text on mobile be visible on mobile only. That way we can increase the font size specifically for mobile without having to increase the font size on the desktop view. You can do the same for the product block here. Make a couple of more adjustments here. And when we check the preview, we can see it looks a lot cleaner and easy, more visually visible on mobile. A couple of the things you can do is enlarge the buttons here. You can do that by increasing the padding. And if you prefer, you can also add your contact information at the bottom of this email for customer support. Now let's exit here. Just to talk a little bit about the subject line and preview text, unless you have a very particular brand voice you'd like to stay consistent with, I recommend being very direct with your copy. Remember, we just have one goal here, and the goal is to recover that lost revenue. So for your subject line, you can use Klaviyo's auto-populated text. It looks like you left something behind. You can say something like, "We've saved your cart for you." You can say for your preview text, "Complete your order." The whole point is to be very straight to the point and be very clear. Now, the reminder email is mostly complete, barring any design changes you'd like to make, but that's the purpose of email number 1. It's just a reminder. And as we exit the email editor, let's just make sure that we turn off smart sending. Yep, it's not checked. Smart sending will skip anyone who received an email within the last 16 hours. We want everybody who abandons checkout to receive these emails because they're such a warm prospect who are so close to purchasing. We want to make sure that nobody is being skipped when it comes to these emails. Enable UTM tracking, which will be great for your attribution settings. And now, as a reminder, for the 4 basic email sequence we're creating, we now need the following emails: a reminder plus testimonials and FAQs, a discount to address price objections, and then a discount expiration reminder. To create these emails, we've already done a lot of the work. All we need to do is clone the existing first email and add additional blocks underneath the CTA button. What we can do is, because we've already modified email number 1, we can just delete this and clone the existing one, move it down below the time gap, label this correctly. We'll put a subject line here to talk about questions. We're going to address shipping concerns, questions about the product, general FAQs about the product that they're looking at. That way we can address their customer objections in this second email. We'll change the time delay to 1 day. instead of 20 hours because we only did 1 hour for the first delay. So we want the second email to go out the second day. And then let's just fill out the plumbing for the rest of this structure. For email 3, we're offering a discount to overcome the price objection. So let's make it very direct. In the subject line, we should mention that we're providing them a discount. So in many cases, it really depends on what your welcome offer is. So let's say your sign-up form is offering 10% off. For your abandoned checkout, to push them over the edge, we can offer them 15% off. So we can make it as simple as with the subject line, here's 15% off. Clone the time delay. Let's just fix this to reflect the fact that it's email number 3, not a copy of email number 2. And finally, we'll create email number 4. We'll make this very straightforward. We want to encourage the order as quickly as possible, so we need to create urgency. We're going to mention that their 15% off discount code is about to expire. And there you have it. You have the plumbing for the structure for all of your emails. And what you're going to do now is go into email number 2. And then you can click edit the design. And what you're going to do in this email is similar to what you did in the first email. All you're going to do here at the bottom is add a text block here, and you're going to list out your shipping policy, your FAQs, any information you think is going to be relevant for the buyer to make a decision about purchasing or not. So make sure in these additional text blocks here, you're adding those blocks. If you have any images, for example, this is auto-populated by Klaviyo. If you have images around shipping or anything that you'd like to share, testimonials, before and after photos, this is where all that information goes. Because people are going to come here, they're going to scroll down. If they're not ready to buy yet, they're obviously not going to click the link. They're going to read through your information, and then they're going to make a decision about whether to buy or not. So with that being said, make sure that you are including all the relevant information here to overcome all objections except for price. Price objections, they're being taken care of in email number 3. So you come back here, come to email number 3, click edit, edit email. Now here is where you change the copy. Again, I'm keeping it very straightforward. If there's a particular brand voice you'd like to use, if there's something more friendly or something with a pun you'd like to include, go for it. I like to keep things simple and straightforward because clarity leads to higher conversions. So with that being said, what I'm going to do here is just make it very straightforward. Here's 15% off. And then I can go ahead and go to the mobile version, copy this because this is only showing up on mobile. We'll change the display here to desktop only. And now it's showing up here. And you can say, use the following discount code for 15% off your entire order. And then over here, what you can do is you can actually add the code. For example, say 15. You can confirm here that the button here leads to the dynamic checkout link. This will take the subscriber back to their unique checkout link that they were using to buy the items they were looking at. One thing you want to do here is you want to make things very seamless for your subscriber who's viewing this email. And that means adding a link that automatically applies the discount. So in this case, the discount code for 15% off is SAY15. What you want to do is add a link here. Add some additional elements to this link so that the code SAY15 is automatically applied at checkout and so that the buyer doesn't have to type that code in directly into the checkout page. So what you're going to do here is you're going to add the following. You're going to add an and sign. You're going to type in discount. You're going to put the equal sign in here, and then you're going to add your discount code, whatever that is. So in this case, it's SAY15. And what's going to happen is when you use this, it will actually apply the discount SAY15 at checkout so the buyer doesn't have to do it. Makes your checkout process a lot more seamless, and gets those orders over the edge. Make your final modifications to this email, font styles, colors, any copy you'd like to include. It's really important to make sure you have all the elements here when it comes to adding the discount code. Everything's taken care here based on what I've showed you. Now, as we exit, we just have to make the same modifications to email number 4. Your 15% off discount code is about to expire. It's going to be very similar to email number 3. All you're going to do is just change the copy here, explaining to the customer that they have 24 hours or 12 hours, or their discount code is about to expire at midnight, whatever time period you choose. But just make sure you clarify that in email number 4 to make sure that the subscriber understands that they don't have a lot of time to place their order. With that being said, make all your modifications, your design modifications, any preferences that you have. From there, all you're going to do is turn this sequence live, change it from draft form to live, and your email sequence is set. So with that, you can take your abandoned checkout flow live, and that completes the basic abandoned checkout flow. Now, if you'd like to implement a more advanced and more comprehensive abandoned checkout flow, then keep watching. This more advanced version tends to be suited for businesses that are already generating significant revenue, at least $50,000 to $100,000 per month in profit. We'll be adding more bells and whistles, including SMS and conditional splits for high value and low value carts. To enhance our re-engagement efforts, we'll integrate SMS messaging into the abandoned checkout flow. This will allow us to send immediate personalized reminders to customers who prefer text messages, ensuring we reach them on their most used devices. There's a very important difference between low value and high value carts. For high value carts, for carts exceeding a predefined threshold, we'll implement a more personalized approach. This would include offering exclusive discounts or even access to a priority customer service line. This is all to encourage completion of the purchase. For low value carts, for carts below that certain threshold, we'll automate reminders that emphasize product benefits and urgency, such as limited stock or impending price increases, to prompt a quicker checkout. Now let's start building out this advanced flow. A quick side note, if you don't see an SMS block to add in Klaviyo, it means you'll need to activate your SMS plan in Klaviyo. So to start off this advanced, comprehensive abandoned checkout flow, when a subscriber enters it, the first step is to exclude them from regular campaigns so that subscribers are not receiving both abandoned checkout emails and campaigns at the same time. You don't want to overburden their inboxes with your emails. So the way to do this is to create a custom profile property called exclude, which you can then use to build out a segment that can be excluded from your regular weekly campaigns. So you can see here the profile property update. As soon as someone enters this flow, a new property is created called exclude. You type it in, and then it's just exclude from campaigns. Now, moving forward, so many advanced abandoned checkouts begin with a conditional split between high value and low value carts. But a better approach is to start with customer versus prospect. This way you can give a better offer towards the end of the flow to a prospect to get them over the line versus an existing customer who may not need as big of a push to purchase. So the conditional split right here has placed order at least once overall time. If it's yes, you've got the existing customer. No, that's your prospect who has just abandoned their checkout. Next, as we come to the next conditional split, it's SMS, and it's going to branch off into two different branches. We're going to focus on the prospect branch first, and then we'll move over to the existing customer branch. But as you can see here, conditional split for anybody who can receive SMS messages. If a subscriber has consented to receiving SMS marketing, then we should lead off with an SMS message reminding the subscriber to complete the purchase. So 30 minutes after abandonment, you send the first SMS. I haven't made any changes to the standard copy that Klaviyo provides. Over here, what you can do here is say something like, we've saved your cart for you, click to complete your order. Again, similar to the abandoned checkout emails, SMS should be even more direct and to the point. You have only about 160 characters in most cases to get your point across, so it should be very direct and very straightforward. Sell the click. That's all that matters. So that's what you want to do with your SMS here. After that, we'll then follow up with a reminder email 30 minutes later. So an hour, 30 minutes and 30 minutes here. So a total of an hour after abandonment, the first email goes out. So SMS subscribers receive an SMS 30 minutes after abandonment, and then they receive the email 30 minutes later. Non-SMS subscribers receive an email an hour later. So everybody filters through into email number 1. And these emails can be very similar to the ones we just talked about and built out for the simple simple abandoned checkout sequence. Email number 1 here is just going to be a reminder email. It can be created in a very similar fashion to what we did in the previous flow. From there, you wait 1 day, you send a reminder email number 2. In this email, you'll include FAQs, perhaps some testimonials, anything to overcome objections. Then we'll follow up a day later with an SMS message for SMS subscribers and a 3rd email. SMS number 2 can go something like, we've saved your cart for you, your cart's about to expire. Just add some kind of urgency there. Now, for the 3rd email, there's going to be a bit of a split. We're going to set up a conditional split for cart value. I've set up a split for cart values over and $100 here. You can see right here, cart value is $100. The threshold here really depends on your business. It really depends on your average order value and what you consider to be a high cart value. But in most cases, 100 is a nice split. You might want to go with 50 if you sell lower ticket items. If you sell higher ticket items, this might be as high as 150, 200. Typically, I like to use 2 times your average order value as the conditional split threshold. That way you know people are buying multiple products and they have a high value cart. So whatever your average order value is, you can pull it from Shopify, just double it and use that as your threshold. So let's talk about low value carts here. For low value carts, we want to provide an offer such as a small discount or free shipping. It's not as generous as the one we're giving high value carts. You can also split test other options here, like highlighting your buy now, pay later option, so you don't have to provide a discount right off the bat. And this really allows you to protect your margins on the lower value carts. For the high value carts, you can provide a more straightforward discount, like 10% off or 15% off. Now, as we scroll down here, we have a 4th email that goes out. For your 4th email, you can focus on 2 elements here. An escalating offer, meaning you can provide a 15% off or 20% off discount code for high value carts. And for low value carts, you can just send an email increasing urgency by reminding subscribers that their discount is about to expire. Finally, as subscribers complete the flow, you can update the profile property to allow them to start receiving regular email campaigns. You can see right here at the end. On the existing customers branch, you don't need to provide as juicy of a discount since repeat buyers will start to wait for large discounts. You could also create a conditional split and only offer discounts to one-time customers while making sure customers who have purchased at least twice receive no discount. But that makes it quite complicated. It's something that if you're feeling up to it, you can add to distinguish between repeat buyers, one-time buyers, and non-buyers. You can also use an offer here that increases returning average order value. So as we scroll down here below, you can take a look at these offers for your existing customers. So as an example, you can offer free shipping over a certain cart value or offer a discount above a certain cart value threshold. Finally, for the 4th email, you can remind subscribers that their offer or their cart is about to expire to increase urgency. You don't necessarily need to add an escalating discount here. At the end, you update the profile property to allow subscribers to start receiving campaigns again. And that's the advanced abandoned checkout flow. It includes SMS, it includes multiple reminders and escalating discounts, and it really tailors the sequence based on where subscribers are in their buying journey, whether they are repeat buyers, whether they are prospects, whether they've consented to SMS or not, whether they are purchasing a large amount from your business, or whether they have low value carts. Everything is addressed using this tailored, advanced abandoned checkout flow. Once you're done, you can set the flow live. Just make sure to turn off your abandoned checkout reminder off in Shopify so that subscribers don't receive 2 sets of flows. And with that, you can now create your own abandoned checkout as well as abandoned cart flows using a basic and a more advanced setup. If you'd like to receive any further assistance, feel free to reach out to the Klaviyo support team or shoot me a message and my team can handle it for you. I'll see you guys in the next video.